everybody. This is Horror Deconstruction, which is on YouTube and not Tumblr, but also Facebook, I think. And today's episode is Hannibal 2013 to 2015, and I am your host, Comp, and...
How did you fuck that up so bad?
And also...
You're supposed to say today's show is, and then I would say...
Today's show is Hannibal.
I know, but I say that
today's show is... and
Hannibal 2013.
Okay, and I am Comp, and your other hosts are...
Comp.
And Thea, whose book is called...
What the fuck is wrong with you? I've been doing this for like 5 years. 5 years.
Yeah, but you should know by now we don't really listen to the
I feel like I need to
I'm not
have
good
him with
at
a fucking safety helmet when you do the show. Alright, go ahead, continue.
Oh, and your other special host...
Flug.
Okay, of Horror Harbor that doesn't exist anymore.
It exists,
okay.
I just don't use it.
So, Comp, why did you choose this? Why did you choose this show? I can't be the lead on this. You do it.
No, you said you're gonna lead. So Hannibal.
I don't want to anymore.
So Hannibal is the show. It came out in 2013. It was a very specific type of show that came out for NBC, which is broadcast television, and it came in the wake of series like Dexter, because Dexter, which was on Showtime. And so NBC wanted to sort of have competition a bit, and people saw how much they liked Dexter, and I guess they had the rights to deal with the Hannibal.
That was
and
such a sad show because it just went so downhill.
So bad. Will Graham and Dexter, Will Graham and Hannibal, and that's obviously from the Red Dragon, or mostly known for what was that other film, The Silence of the Lambs?
Mm-hmm.
So they figured, let's give it a show, let's give it a shot, give it a little 12-episode series, which is like Dexter had, 12 episodes a season, and it was
13.
Sorry, 13 episodes, and it was quite, and it's quite the way ahead of its time for network television, and I think no other network television show has been like it. So that's why I chose it. So go ahead, lead, Danny.
Okay. So we're gonna cover season 1, and we're gonna do a season per episode. And
since you see how important I am now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I never doubted it.
We've always why do you think we waited an hour for you to get on this call?
So anyway, Danny.
Here we go.
Let me go back to. I did that because Danny said he would take the lead, and he can't even lead himself to the microphone. Danny, why you have been speeding through the first season of Hannibal, right? What is going on with that?
I watched 2 episodes years ago, and I did like it, but for whatever reason, I just never watched it all the way. And now, because my life is a blur of doing nothing because I'm unemployed, I'm just watching episode after episode. It's great.
So yeah, Hannibal's now on Netflix. It's been off the air for 3 years. It finished its run in 2015. Sadly, it finished its run on 2015.
I am a little not looking forward to the end just because I know it's probably not be what they wanted.
Since we're strictly covering season 1, we will be spoiling season 1. It's a little difficult because season 1 obviously has elements of all the Thomas Harris novels. Actually, all 3 seasons have different.
I read those years ago,
and they've gender bent characters. It'll turn. I think Alana Bloom was Alan Bloom in the books, and they changed it to a woman.
I don't even remember. It's been so long.
Oh, I don't. I've only seen I think I've only seen half of Silence of the Lambs, and I've only seen.
What?
Wait, what?
What I did see, which
what do you mean?
You've only seen half of that movie?
Do you not understand English? That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't understand the concept of that. You
Man,
have to go watch it.
That's the best fucking movie.
I didn't see, what did I see? Exorcist, until 4 or 5 years ago?
Or The Shining.
Right,
honestly, I'm more offended about Silence of the Lambs than I am about The Exorcist.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs is kind of like a must-have.
It's must.
I used to do Buffalo Bill's vagina dance.
Oh, God.
I'm sure you still do.
I do.
So anyway, they have different characters, and they changed the genders of characters, I guess make the drama a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they added in a sort of three-way romance with turning Bloom to a female character, and then they also changed Freddie Lounds into a female character in this one. Freddie Lounds was a guy in the books and the film versions of like Red Dragon and Manhunter.
Anyway,
so
I hate that character.
Obviously, Hannibal is based on the books by Thomas Harris. He did Red Dragon, which was adapted into Manhunter, which people don't really know because it had a completely different. It had Brian Cox playing original Hannibal Lecter, and it was really good. It's actually a really good film. Like it's completely different. It's.
I never saw it.
I wouldn't say it's on the Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, you gotta watch.
Come on, man.
I didn't see this one either. I just saw parts of it too.
Ugh.
But the parts that I saw were cool. So anyway, obviously that
ruining things for himself.
Red Dragon,
the ending to Battlestar Galactica,
the horrible film itself, Hannibal, which was the final book in the series. Not really the final book. It was followed by the prequel of Hannibal.
Oh, is that the one with the guy that feeds people to pigs?
Yes, which was turned into the third season of this show.
Was it horrible? I saw it so long ago. I don't. Even
it wasn't.
It was not.
The
great.
thing is, you know of Silence of the Lambs, and then you like watch this, which was like 10 to 15
it's like
years
a
later
knockoff
after the original.
Version.
Yeah, plus it was like, and I feel bad for Julianne Moore because not only she's hot, she's a good actor, but you want to see, what's her name in it?
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster. There you go.
There you go. You got
Gay
there.
Icon.
I get it.
All right, so the Hannibal TV series. So Thea, what do they change with the series? Who stars in it? What's going on? All that information Danny left.
Tell us everything.
What do they change? You mean?
How does the show go? Like, how does the show go? I'm not familiar with the Red Dragon, the movie, or any of that. So I did see a little parts.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to be to watch this.
No,
you don't. I'm just saying what they adapted from it.
So they in most of those movies they follow the FBI like person, which they do in this too. Will Graham isn't in. I think he's in Manhunter. Is he?
Yes, he is.
I've only seen bits and pieces of Manhunter also.
Red Dragon are the same
struggles.
But yeah, so we follow Will Graham, who is able to empathize with the killer of any murder scene that he's looking at.
Will Graham is played by
Will Graham.
I know. Just trying to get you to repeat yourself.
And this is possibly the worst episode we've ever done. And Will Graham is a
empath.
Empath, right? So he's able to feel everything that everybody else feels, and this gives him some sort of psychic magic powers,
including into serial killers.
Encephalitis, which makes it even worse, or something.
Yeah. So he is working.
Well, we don't know that till later.
he's working under Jack Crawford, I believe the character's name, who's played by the fantastic Lawrence Fishburne.
So good.
I always love everything Lawrence Fishburne is in. The only thing that I thought was horrible was Predators, because he puts in probably the weirdest acting I've ever seen in any film. But anyway, so
he's also in Pee Wee Herman.
Yes, he's Cowboy Curtis. And anyway,
how is that possible? What the hell?
So there's also
isn't that weird?
There's Caroline Darvnas as Alana Bloom.
Oh,
yum! Anyway, she is a professor.
I think we could all agree.
Yeah.
She's a professor
that if we were cannibals, we would eat her alive.
She's a professor of psychology and a consultant profiler for the FBI. She's sort of introduced as a romantic interest for Will, but Will's such a fucking weirdo that even she wouldn't fuck him. But then she like fucks a serial killer.
No, but she would have. He just needed to be, a little less obviously.
Maybe weird. If he didn't have encephalitis.
That's true.
Yeah.
She's that's racist.
Okay, knowing what you know about the later episodes and everything, if you had an interest in somebody and you found out that they were force-fed an ear, would you still kiss them later, even knowing that they didn't voluntarily eat it? There was an ear in their mouth at one point.
I guess. I mean, listen, people...
They didn't choose it.
I don't know, sometimes I'll hear somebody, fart really loud or something, and, it changes my opinion a little bit.
Danny, people,
and I'm gross.
People on purpose lick buttholes and other genitalia.
There's nothing wrong with that if you're clean about it.
Least worst thing about
eating an ear is a pretty big step from eating out a butt.
Other characters are like Hettienne Park, who plays Beverly Katz. I found myself having a crush on her. I like her character, and I
like her too.
They created her to also have some sort of romantic interest in Will, and I like their character a lot. There's also Scott Thompson. Scott Thompson plays Jimmy Price.
But I'm the lead, I thought.
Jimmy Price is one of the. There's these three. What do you call them? The
Peanut
that guy. Peanut Gallery. Sorry, Scott Thompson. He's sort of like I always liked him as an actor. Brian Zeller is the character Aaron Abrams. He's sort of like a foil for Will, but like it's so weird because he's clearly like a background character, and they keep. And I like that they give these characters a lot to say. Like they all feel necessary in the show. But it's so weird because like the Brian Zeller character seems like he would have had the fate of another character in the show, but for some reason they kept him on.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. Like I understood the one character. We won't spoil it in this season.
Which one is Brian Zeller?
Brian Zeller's the guy with the facial hair. He's like one of the three guys. He's not the blonde.
He's the one that's
guy.
always mad at Will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the one that doesn't like Will, like because he feels like Will is like sort of too smart for the room or something like that.
He's not into abstract thinking. He's a scientist.
There's also Gillian Anderson, yum yum yum, who plays Bedelia du Maurier. I swear, I don't know how it is, but like Gillian Anderson and Elaine from Seinfeld, they took something, or they sold
get
their
hotter
soul.
over time.
They're like these women that get hotter as they get older, and you know what I mean. Like it's incredible.
They are very attractive.
And of course, obviously, Mads Mikkelsen as Hannibal Lecter. He's the man that everybody wants to have sex with. He's too cool for the room.
Is he?
I know you told me that. So he's obviously everybody. I think everybody was introduced to Mads Mikkelsen via either Casino Royale, which was the reboot of the James Bond series with Daniel Craig, or he was in all the Nicholas Winding Refn films when he first started out.
He's got such a face, this guy.
Yeah, he's got a very, very unique face. It's almost like 1940s face, you know, and people like had very...
It gets like creepy after a while. Like
It's because I think his pupils are just so dark, right? Like he just looks like he has shark eyes or something.
His
well, just
top
like,
lip is like a little bigger than his bottom lip. It's like weird.
When you start looking at it for a while and like you get into his character, it's like, oh yeah, it is like a human suit, like what Gillian Anderson says.
Yeah.
He's really good. I remember when I first saw the series, and I was like, I liked Dexter, so I was like, let me watch what Hannibal is about, just because it looked so good. You know, I've only seen maybe a bit of Brian Fuller, who's the executive producer of this series, and he usually is he's clearly a very hands-on producer. I had seen like maybe the first 2 episodes of Dead Like Me, and I enjoyed it, but I never got into it. And people say that his shows are like really good, like Pushing Daisies. People really love.
I love his shows.
His shows tend to get canceled after a season or 2 for some reason, because we can't watch good TV on
It's true.
On regular television. It has to be like
when
cable.
they cancel shows. Like, just let us enjoy ourselves.
I know.
No. But anyway, Brian Fuller also known for leaving projects. Like he just leaves shows before they even begin. Like he's attached to so many shows, and he'll just fucking quit the show like real quick. He was supposed to be part of the new Star Wars series, Star Trek series, and he left that. And he was a part of that
American Gods.
American Gods. He was in the first season of it. And if you watch this, you watch
this.
Is that
good? I've read the book.
I thought you saw it and you said it was boring, because I know that's why I stopped.
I've read the book.
The first season was good.
You find the book a little overrated. To be honest.
I saw maybe the first 4 episodes, and I was like, I didn't give a shit about the main character. He was so fucking boring.
Yeah, the characters are like a little boring.
But it's such a beautiful looking.
Such a big deal.
It's a beautiful looking show, and you can see. I don't know if David Slade, who was a prominent director on Hannibal, followed him onto that series.
But
it's almost like you're watching Hannibal 2.0 just visually, because it's so gorgeous looking.
We should talk about Hannibal. Speaking of which,
we're talking about people in Hannibal for a second. And so Thea,
I'm the lead.
Thea, what are we dealing with in the first sort of 5 episodes of the series? What are we putting our feet into? What are we dipping our toes into with this show?
Tell us all about
dipping our toes in.
Tell us what we're dipping our toes into.
Well, we bring Will back in, and he's like reluctant, and the first case is about Garrett Jacob Hobbs, who is someone who is hunting girls who all look like his daughter, Abigail Hobbs. And murdering them horribly, and then using all of their body parts. Mostly.
Me.
So it's hard to track him down. They just know that all these girls are missing until one shows up, because she gets returned because her meat is no good for him to consume.
Why
so he
was
puts her
that?
back in bed. So basically she's sick. So I think she had liver cancer or something.
Yes. Okay, right.
So he puts her back in bed.
Because they didn't find any of the other bodies. Just
he was eating everything. Yeah, he was eating everything and using all of their hair and their bones and everything. Just because that was his hunting principle, was that if you didn't use every part of the beast or whatever, it was murder. So he put her back as like a way to apologize.
He's not really a serial killer if he didn't murder anyone.
And the big question of the first few episodes is, once they track him down and save Abigail from almost dying, is whether she was involved because she hunted with him. So they don't know if she was a part of his hunting of women also.
I grew to really dislike Abigail in the series.
Yeah, she's annoying.
Really?
No, it's not that I didn't find her annoying. I just morally, I was just annoyed with her. Because it was so funny because it's so...
Well, she's like... What is she supposed to do?
Alright, let me not have an opinion. Anyway.
She's manipulative. She's a frustrating character because you don't know where she stands, and but you're supposed to feel that because that's what Will feels, is that he's frustrated by her, right?
Yeah, but she's got the most fucked up life ever.
That is.
Yeah, but she's manipulative in that. She's not, like, grieving at all.
It's not too different from how I felt about Hannibal throughout the seasons. I say, he's in it. Kooky, funny, sort of winking at the camera. You know, Dexter's a piece of shit, but you kind of like his character until a certain turn in the series that I didn't like about his character, which kind of threw me off.
Dexter is kind of lovable throughout. What don't you like about him?
There was an episode in Dexter, like, he just gets sloppy as a character, but that's obviously the fucking writing in that show. But there's like a photographer that was photographing. In one episode of Dexter, there was a photographer that was shooting women in very, like, violent sort of photographs. They weren't, like, he wasn't really killing them. And Dexter and the women that actually were photographed were actually getting killed. So Dexter was like, I've got to kill this guy. So he fucking kills the guy, and the guy was innocent. And then he was like, oh, okay. And then he just sort of walked away. And I'm like, there's like no more. I know the guy was a psychopath or a sociopath, but it was just something like was wrong about it to me. And obviously he paid
Dexter
for it
was
in
like
the series, but
overall though a way better guy than Hannibal. Hannibal's just like purely horrible.
That's the thing, because Hannibal, like I was saying about Dexter, I liked Hannibal in the first season, up until I think mid of the first season.
What is with these people with the fireworks?
Then they really embraced that he is the villain of the show. Like, he really is. It's none of that fucking black or white. Like, he really is a villain. And
he's like horrible. Like, you grow to hate him so much.
Yeah, and it just gets even worse and worse of like a bastard in the show. And,
I know.
And you like to lynch.
He's like a little like snake or something.
To
like
put like a linchpin on like a character like that and make it like the main character of the show. I don't know if that's what turned people off, or the ultra fucking violence in the show. Thea, can you talk about the ultra violence in the show? Because I don't think I've seen any fucking show with violence still as bad as this shit.
Yeah, there are people that really can't watch because it's just so... I mean, it's like the way they shoot it and the way they production design it is so beautiful that like it doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
But the stuff that they're literally like reaching inside of bodies and like ripping out organs and
gruesome. Like, it's gruesome.
I love it.
Like I think it's the second episode with the bodies in the I think it's the second with the mushrooms, mushroom garden.
That's a good one. I love that one.
Like, it's not super gory, but it's gruesome. You know,
but there are certain aspects of, like, the first episode.
Visually, this
what was his name? Jacob Gordon. What is this? Jacob Hobbs?
Gavin Hobbs or
Garrett
something.
Jacob Hobbs.
I was talking to Danny about it, and I called the guy David Gordon Green for some reason. That's the director of Halloween. Anyway, so like that first episode when he slashes people's throats, like I can't. My one thing I can't stand is arterial spray, like blood shooting out of people. Like, but like in a realistic way. Like, I can watch a Takashi Miike, like Ichi the Killer, which has like fountains of blood, or even
well, that's like a cartoon,
right? You know what I mean? But like when it's like realistic, I'm like, holy fuck! In that first episode, I was like, I had to look away, even though I love gore. Like Story of Ricky, I love that movie. But with this, like, the gore is not like Evil Dead, sort of like, you know how Evil Dead is like pounds and pounds of blood in the TV series. Did you watch that show, Thea?
I did. I didn't finish. I didn't finish third season.
There's a couple things in the show that like I really had to look through my hands, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like the stuff that he does to Chilton and stuff like that. I was like, oh shit, that was horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that the one where he's pulling his fucking guts out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah, that was bad.
With what actor is that? That guy was supposed to be like a secondary.
That guy's so annoying, but like funny.
But I love him.
Eddie
Raul. Eddie Izzard. You mean like?
Oh no, I like
Gideon?
Raul.
Not Eddie
Esparza,
Izzard, the guy that's in charge.
You're talking
of
about
the,
Chilton. Raul Esparza.
Yeah, Freddie Chilton was in the movies in Silence of the Lambs. He's playing the same character, but none of that awful shit happens to him like it does in the. Like what happens at the end of the movies, obviously, when he says, "I'm gonna have a friend for dinner," that's the joke at the end. So Hannibal kills him, but all that shit that happens to Chilton is what happens to Freddie Lounds. But for some reason, Freddie Lounds, they changed her fate in the series. They just unless something bad was gonna happen to her, we never got to see it because I fucking hate Freddie Lounds. I hate that fucking character. I hate her guts in the show.
But it's successful for that reason, right? Because you're supposed to.
Every annoying journalist in every movie ever is in that woman with the same red hair.
So, Danny, what did you think was the most gruesome kill in this series?
I mean, it wasn't the kill, but when you mentioned the fucking pulling the guts out of Frederick or whatever his name is, like the guy in charge of the hospital, like that, I don't know, that one really bothered me. And then there was like. I don't know. There was I gotta be honest. I've watched like a season and a half in the span of like a day, so it's hard to keep track of each individual thing. But there's definitely like amazing visuals. Like the fucking totem pole thing was like beautiful. And the beehive one was great. But I think that might be season 2.
The one in the totem pole, I think like the people that made the house that Jack built clearly took from that. I don't know if you guys.
I still haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's a great film. But like they do something similar like that, and I was like, oh, that fucking reminds me of Hannibal. But the two for me have to be the guy one of them was like a guy turned into a human fucking what is that
violin.
Violin.
Oh,
the cello or something like that.
Yeah.
And the guy's throat was like that. Because I remember that was one of the first promotional images for the show that came out. I was like, what the fuck?
And that was actually one of the random episodes I saw years ago.
And it was either that one or the doctor who had when they basically cut your throat
the tongues,
and pull your tongue out of your neck and shit. And I was like, fucking, that might have been the worst one because to me, that was the most graphic thing I'd ever seen on regular television.
Can I ask you, because I'm blanking now which season this is in, because I watch it so fast, the Beehive one, do you know what that is?
Season 2, it has to be season 2.
Oh, never mind, okay. Cause
I don't think that was a particularly good episode myself, or if I remember that.
No, but the violence
I would almost compare that to, before I get to that, Thea, what was your favorite, or your most gruesome kill you think in this series, the first season?
Well, you guys kind of named a bunch of the ones that would have occurred to me, but one of the ones that also I recalled, but I haven't got there this rewatch yet, is Georgia Madchen when she's in the hyperbaric chamber and accidentally sparks a fire.
Yeah.
Burns herself alive.
I kind of like when her skin arm comes up. I kind of felt like that whole character was slightly pointless.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There was episode I was gonna get to.
No offense.
When you talked about the beehive episode, I think there was the woman that used bee to kill people. Was that the one in season 2?
Yeah, she wanted to cure them.
And she's a very good actor too. I forget where I've seen her, but she's one of those actors.
I've definitely seen her. I just
don't
know where.
It reminds me of the episode with Molly, the lady from SNL. She was the one that was leading the kids around, killing their parents and shit.
Oh yeah,
that was an episode that never aired on television because
that's right.
There was a school. It's sad that I was gonna say a school shooting, but I don't know which one because it was 100.
It literally was one of them, and I don't know
which one this week.
It was a school shooting that they decided not to air it, and I think I saw it online somewhere because they aired it in Canada or something. But I remember thinking that episode was like pretty lame for some reason. The weird thing about the beginning of the series is like the first 4 episodes, they would Will would solve it in some other room, and they just run into the room with FBI agents. So there never was really tense. This tense sort of showdown.
I feel like the season didn't start to get its thing until towards the end of the first season, and now the second season, I feel like it's finally got its flow.
Yeah, because Hannibal's the villain, so once you know he's a villain, then you can.
We knew he's a villain, but he gets so unlikable after a while. Oh, I hate him.
So Thea, what did you think of the dynamics between Will, Alana, Jack, and Hannibal?
I like the Jack Will relationship just because it's obviously comes up again because Jack had this other student that was like a similar thing where he's sending them into the field.
Is it Melissa?
And doesn't.
I forget the name.
What was her
Forget,
name?
I don't mean to throw you off.
Doesn't matter. Just that, like, he had it. I like how they tied that in, how he's sort
Miriam
of lost
Lass.
people in the field. Yes, that's right. And how he's worried about Will, but he's also not. Like, he's sort of using Will as a tool, and he trusts whichever opinion works for him best until he gets that, like, oh, he's really falling apart.
One of the reasons I knew that this show was going to be canceled is because Lawrence Fishburne starred in the series Blackish, and then that show came on like mid after the third season ended, and I was like, that's not good. When a main actor from another show is like a main character in another show, you're sort of like, because
eventually they're gonna compete.
But once I saw him on the show, I was like, oh, that's it for Lawrence in that show, which sucks because I think the whole cast is into doing the show, and
they should do a Pee-wee reunion where he comes back.
He
was called Larry back then.
So Thea, the relationship between Alana and Will.
And Alana and Will I like the thing that they always bring up in the first sort of half, which is that she's never stayed in the same room as him alone, which tells you that's like she doesn't want to act on any kind of, like, that she has feelings for him right away.
Has nobody here ever fucked anybody crazy? But she actually has morals about it?
I did. And
I mean, she does. She does fuck somebody
you're
crazy.
Right. That's true.
Several crazy
people.
Big
regret, but you know what?
Yeah, she has a bad track record.
She has very bad track record.
Now that I think about it, Alana's like really fucks up.
Yeah.
And now Will's relationship with Hannibal, because this is the huge selling point in the series, and for many different reasons.
Well, I just rewatched the bit where Hannibal is talking to Bedelia about Will for the first time, and he says, "I think I've met a new friend." And it's like he's finally realizing that somebody could almost be on his level in terms of, like, thinking about things, but he also just is observing him, so it's like it's hard to tell how he really feels about Will, or if he feels about him anything.
It's extremely vague about what you think he feels about him. I think there's a giant subtext of...
Well, he thinks having a friend is a person that you manipulate into getting arrested.
And can kill with, potentially, down the road.
When you said Bedelia, you had something in my brain, then I realized it was Creepshow, the cake one.
Yeah,
Bedelia!
But so obviously I think the thing with Brian Fuller is an out man, and I think he was putting that sort of, it's a sort of romance between two guys that don't go all the way. So I think it was an interesting concept for the show itself, that there was this sort of
tension.
Gay tension or gay subtext. But on the outward,
they never get into Hannibal being sexual at all.
No.
Oh, yes, they will.
Well, they do and they don't.
I mean, in the sense of eating people, maybe. I guess that's sexual for him, but never just normal sex.
See, Thea and I know about the show, and you don't.
Oh, don't say anything.
Right.
And I don't mean to kink-shame anyone that's into cannibalism.
People were always theorizing about Hannibal and Will getting together and being gay, and look up the fan fiction, honey. There's so much.
In the
it's a huge selling point because
what was I going to say? In the books, it's been years, but I feel like there's a thing between Clarice and Lecter, they fall in love.
In the books, they do, yeah.
Yeah.
In the books, they end up together, and but in this, there's obviously that subtext, and people were into. They really fucking love it. I mean, it was no issue for me in the show. Obviously, that's what I figured with the shows, and going into later on in the seasons, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, it's clearly, something that they're sort of afraid to fully commit to. Not really at the end of season 3.
I just see Hannibal as this spider snake thing that's just horrible and curious about torturing people.
Did you guys have a favorite one-off side villain in the show? Because they had these sort of monster of the week characters. I like Tobias.
I love Eddie Izzard.
Yeah, Eddie Izzard.
Tobias is good too.
Did Eddie Izzard Tobias was a musician, and poor Franklin, who was his annoying friend, who wanted to be friends with Hannibal.
So annoying.
I didn't feel like he needed to be killed, but he sort of walked in. Or he didn't even walk into that situation. He sort of was like, oops.
He was just there.
He was fucked, yeah. He should have listened to Hannibal and left the room. But I like Tobias because he was sort of he was like a robot version of Hannibal, if that makes sense. He was like a cyborg version of him. And Eddie Izzard, he's
really
been
sure.
here and there in the U.S. on certain shows. Like,
yeah,
I think he's had a sitcom here maybe for a second, but I can't. Like, he's one of those people that you see and you know. It's sort of like the guy who did The Office. The guy
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah. Don't you see what I'm saying?
But what I understand.
Ricky Gervais is kind of an asshole.
He is smug and an asshole, but he's one of the last sort of comedians that, like, and I understand.
He's funny, like, I get it, but, like, I feel like I would smack him in the face if I had to be in a room with him.
But he's one of the last few comedians where he can talk shit and not get in trouble for it, really, because he doesn't give a fuck, and that's sort of like an armor that he has. But Eddie Izzard is obviously a very important character in this season because he is trying to emulate the Chesapeake River?
Chesapeake Ripper,
Chesapeake Ripper, which is actually from the books, the Chesapeake Ripper. I was completely... Anna Klumsky was Miriam Lass, who was Jack's student. I was going to say protege, but it was a student. She disappears and you see her hand towards the end of the season. She was, I guess, Anna Klumsky worked... I didn't realize that was My Girl. You know the movie from My Girl? With
it is.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's the girl from My Girl. She after.
No, she was on Veep for a long time
movie.
too.
But that's the worst. Then. Although it did make me have ideas of how to kill people with bees. So.
Whoa.
What do you think this show was trying to achieve in its storytelling? Do you think that it was comparable to the movies, or you know?
I mean, no, it's not comparable to the movies. I think it's like its own thing. It's great.
Yeah, it's very different in terms of style. I mean, it's so obviously Brian Fuller style,
right?
Because everything he makes sort of looks like this, but because it's okay. He applied that to murder. It was kind of like, oh, you do this now.
I compared it to Dexter in my head a little, but like, it's better than Dexter.
Yeah, I think so.
Dexter has like its great moments, but God, does that show?
I mean, there's nothing that can really touch season 1 of Dexter, and maybe up the middle of season 2
is beautiful too. But like, oh man, that show just goes so downhill, and this show doesn't have any of those flaws.
Not yet, no. There's a part of the fault in the third season, but that's just my opinion. I think Thea's opinion as well.
No, I think that's everybody's opinion.
That's when Brian Fuller, like I said before, Brian Fuller was in love with the smell of his own farts in that season. That he was just like, oh, this is everything I do is brilliant. So they went
sometimes
overhead.
Farts smell good.
Well, it also helped that they had David Slade for the first season for a bunch of episodes, but I don't think they had him past the first season.
David Slade,
David Slade did Hard Candy. He did 30 Days of Night.
Right, Hard Candy. Yeah, 30 Days of Night.
Nightmare Cinema is the one you're thinking of.
Nightmare Cinema. That was the one. He did the black and white one, which was the only really, really good part of that film.
This Way to Egress.
Oh, is that the one where everything is like getting gross looking?
Right, yeah. That was like...
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's the only one I remember. That was...
the only one
you should remember.
Stupid, from what I recall.
They were.
It's a tactic way to say it.
I mean, it's true, though.
What did you think of Mads Mikkelsen's Hannibal Lecter compared to, let's say, everybody's worship for this sort of cartoonish...
Anthony Hopkins
one?
It's very different, but I like it. And I like them both for different reasons. I think...
Yeah, same.
They're both eerie, but because Mads is playing Hannibal before, so people sort of know that he's a cannibal.
Right.
It's a little more fun instead of just haunting, which is sort of what Anthony is.
He gets to breathe more into the character. He's not a sort of... he is a boogeyman, but a more fully realized boogeyman.
But he plays it... He speaks it very flat.
I'd be creeped out by him, even not knowing.
Did any of you? Yeah. You guys didn't really have issues with because I know when I first saw it on regular TV, there was no sort of Netflix subtitles, and I was really like, what the fuck is this guy saying? Like, I couldn't understand the first 2 episodes.
I have several Danish friends, so I don't know.
Well, I don't have Danish friends, and I did struggle the first time watching it. It's a lot easier now.
Okay. Well, by several,
because I've already seen
3.
it.
I guess it's not several, but
I mean, that's more than
the interesting thing about Mads Mikkelsen is, like, I guess outside of film, he only talks about sports, and he dresses up in like sort of skater gear. Mm-hmm. He's nothing like the Hannibal.
He's so strange. He's such a strange man.
What? I don't think in an off-putting way. It's just that he's absolutely nothing like.
He's bizarre.
Any of his characters.
I'm trying to picture him like smiling and shit.
He was originally a gymnast and a dancer.
Oh, I can see he's so graceful.
Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You guys should. I hope you guys see the bloopers for the first season of this. It's fucking hilarious because.
Oh really? There's bloopers.
Yeah.
They have them for all three, but just watch the first one so it doesn't spoil.
Oh, I would love to see
very
the
clear spoilers in the third one. But there's a part where he's sitting down at the dinner table. It's the part where Freddie Lounds is there discussing the book of Abigail. And she's like, "There's a shame there's so much meat here." And he goes, "Shut up, bitch." And it's just like the fucking funniest thing. It's the funniest. And you're like, "Oh shit, did he cross the line or something?" But it's very funny. So
weird.
Obviously everybody has like a sense of humor in it. And I still cannot say how much I thought of Lawrence Fishburne in this show. Because he's like fucking...
Oh, he's great.
He's wonderful.
He's the fucking man in this show. Like that. And I wish it was... there's obviously a lot of Lawrence Fishburne
I'm so sad for him,
like
too, his wife.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, they got divorced, so that really is sad. So,
wait, that was his. That was his.
That was really his wife in the
Yes.
show.
Oh shit!
She was from the classic WPIX. I don't know if you ever heard of this show called Cleopatra 2525.
No. Oh my god. No.
It's just.
But also, she's from Firefly. More importantly,
that too, obviously. But that show Cleopatra, you have to just look at the opening of the show. It's the greatest.
It sounds already
it's
like
just
something.
it's just these
bad.
3 hot chicks in like a cyberpunk space box or some shit like that, and they like
space
fly around in
box.
space and shit, and they're super hot. But it's just like. It's like Xena if it had $3 or something like that. It was
right.
It was when Channel 11 used to like Thea was probably like 10 years old when this shows used to come on, and Danny and I was like in our 50s, and like it was that type of show. But yeah, his wife, she was a very good actor. She's a very good actor. I forget what her name is. What is her name?
Gina Torres.
Gina Torres, right? Yeah, she was. I dated a girl that looked like her. Anyway, that's just me being proud of myself. Yeah, I know. What am I talking? What are we doing with this show?
I don't know. Let's rate the season.
Did we talk about the ending of the season? Remind me the ending of the season.
Let's get into the ending of the season. Let's get into.
Just remind me what happens.
So what happens
basically, Hannibal is a big giant cunt and frames him for killing Abigail.
Right.
And uses a blackout to feed a fucking ear down his throat and frames him.
Ugh.
It's terrible.
Right.
So he ends up. That was very frustrating because when I first saw the first season, there was no guarantee of a second season.
No.
So the way that the show ended with the mirror universe version of Hannibal in front of the bars and Will behind them, and I was like, there better be a motherfucking second season. I was like, this show cannot end like this because it's like if that show would have ended like that, would have been fuck face.
I don't know why it annoyed me so much, but just the fucking brain scan thing and like the clock and everything, and he's like telling like this like little like snake. He's like telling the guy not
drawing
to get
the
him
clocks.
to lie about it and shit, and he's like pretending the clock is normal even though it's not. Oh god.
So I think the good thing is that this show has been getting more views because it's on Netflix and people are understanding because they're fucking stuck, at home. That they understand the fucking level of quality of the show and the actors in it. Even though every actor basically has been in something else, there's a consensus that they would all come back to the show immediately because
it's so good.
Yeah, it's like a level of equality, and I hope it isn't some bullshit where Netflix says, "Oh, here's an hour and a half movie to finish off Hannibal."
God.
I wouldn't even.
We already have movies.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind if it's like 8-episode seasons and shit like that because there's pretty good sort of seasons like that with the show.
Well, I don't know how it ends, so please don't give away much. Like, I don't want to know who could be in the sequel because I don't know who lives or dies.
It was weird because eventually what Brian Fuller said he wanted to do, he wanted to put Clarice Starling in the show, but they do not own the rights for Clarice Starling. Because Clarice Starling, but it's weird that they have Hannibal, but then they're going to do a fucking Clarice Starling show for CBS, I think, without Hannibal in it, so why the fuck even bother? They were just so like, we don't want to give Clarice Starling to your character. He was quoted saying, I'll make a fucking character called Schmaurice Flarling and put her in the show, which sucks because just give the fuck, there's no fucking Hannibal show on now.
But I feel like you told me they don't, but don't say in the episode. I feel like it would be awesome if they have him meeting Buffalo Bill, even just like as a one-off. Oh, this is like a patient of mine, like or something.
If they have the rights for it, maybe Buffalo Bill's not even in part of the rights, Maybe because maybe they have certain characters from...
They might not have been able to get the whole book. I don't know.
What is with these people and these fucking...
I think it might be because they couldn't get Silence of the Lambs specifically. So, like, they probably... I don't think they could get anything from it.
Yeah, because
But because Hannibal exists outside of those books, they could get... And same with Will and same with Jack and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't wait till we discuss season 3 because that... I actually... That's the full sort of... Oh no, I did see Hannibal, the movie, and then I did see Hannibal Rising, which was the prequel film.
Can you just watch
Silence of the Lambs before we do season 2, please?
I think it's a movie that I've seen in pieces.
No,
just fucking watch it beginning to end. It is an amazing movie, regardless of anything else.
It's an amazing movie.
Just fucking watch it.
I don't like how that film treats people of different entities, and I'm offended.
Can you just...
I don't like how they
vilify. The transphobic display in it is absolutely out of date, but it's still a very good movie.
This is what's happening. After we finish Hannibal, we're reviewing that movie.
Which one?
Silence of the Lambs. So you have to watch it now.
Oh my god, what a torture. Oh man, look at me, I'm shaking.
You have to watch
it.
You son of a bitch.
What else? Is there anything else you guys want to bring up about the show?
No, let's rate.
Let's do it.
Okay, Danny, what's your rating for Hannibal? No, it's Thea. Sorry, Thea always goes first.
Oh yeah.
Thea, what's your rating for Hannibal season 1?
I'm giving it. Honestly, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I love this show. I would recommend anybody to watch this season at least, if nothing else. But I love it. I love it all. 10 out of 10. Pulling out a human's intestines and then just rubbing them raw until they become strings for your instrument.
I would also give this series, first season, a 10 out of 10. Trying to get all up in those. You see, Alana Bloom, she wanted that. She wanted that BWC, that big will companionship. I don't know what you guys would think of this thing. And she really struck out. Danny, what's your what rating would you give this show?
I like that. That's very PG. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10 because I do feel like the first few episodes are a little but then it gets really good. 9 out of 10 for season 1 of Hannibal. Grabbing someone by the arm and their skin just sloughs off like a gross little snake skin, and then you find out that they believe they're dead and they can't see faces, and then they light themselves on fire with a hairbrush.
So let us see if this resurgence on Netflix will bring this show. It would be great. Because everybody pretty much looks the same, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Gillian Anderson doesn't age, so...
Yeah, Gillian Anderson is done. She realized she doesn't do that fucking X-Files shit anymore. I didn't even bother with that second season. That's pathetic. She's put in a lot of British shows for some reason. People like her British accent.
Oh, anyway, she's so hot in the fall. Jesus Christ.
I gotta finish watching that. I only saw the first episode. That's good.
But just watch the first season. She's very hot.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't watch past that. It's fine.
Okay. So with that, Thea, what's the final word?
Onion.
Danny, what's the final word?
Garlic.